Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad you can join me here today. I'd like to start off with a personal story, a story that has stuck with me for many years since it first happened, and I'd like to share that with you. So the year was the year 2000, the month was May, and it was around the 20th of May, if I can't remember exactly the exact date, but it was around that time. It was a Friday. I was obviously a young teenager at that point in time, and I remember I was in school. And I remember I told all my friends goodbye, because that's what I did on a Friday afternoon when the home time bell rang, and then I'd come back on Monday and say hi to everyone as I would every Monday. But that Friday was a very different Friday to any of the Fridays I'd ever experienced in my life, and I didn't know that at that point in time, because that was a Friday where I told one of my best friends goodbye for the last time. Because on the Sunday following that Friday, my parents got a call that my best friend was involved in a car accident and he had passed away. He was 14 years old, around the same age that I was, and I still remember going to the mosque that evening, and seeing the body of my best friend just there still. His eyes were shut, and in my mind I can still picture exactly what I saw. I was standing towards the head, towards on the back of his head, and I could see him. And I just wanted to shrug his shoulders to see if he would wake up or just say something. But obviously I didn't do that. But I just couldn't fathom what was happening, because 1 minute on the Friday I told him goodbye and I told him I'll see him on Monday. And the next minute I see his body just lying there on this raised platform on a marble. And I just couldn't fathom it. And the thing is, I'd never experienced death to such an extent before this event. So this was the first time where I came head on with the reality of what death really was, and it stuck with me for life. When I went back to school on Monday, I remember vividly seeing the empty chair and desk right at the back of the class, which is where he sat, and I just remember thinking, is he going to come back? When is he going to come back? And there was had such a profound impact on my life that it has stuck with me till today. And the lesson I want to bring today is, life is so short, don't squander it. The lesson is, life is so short, don't squander it. We don't even know when we're going to die. We could die any second. So for this video, I'd like to share 3 things that I have learned along my journey that I have tried to implement in my life, and I think they are powerful tools and techniques to basically not overcome, but come to terms with the fragility of life and the mortality of life. So, rule number one, I should always say no, or should be confident to say no when no is expected. So Derek Sivers is an author. He's got a book called Hell Yeah or No, and that's one of his principle is, if someone offers him something or tells him to do something, if he has a response of saying hell yeah, he'll do it. If he doesn't have a response of saying hell yeah, he just won't do it. Even if it's maybe, it's alright, I might try it, he says no, because basically he's set up a structure in a way that he wants to only do things that will contribute to his life. This might be seen as selfish in a way, but I don't particularly see it as selfish, because every one of us is on a journey in life, and that journey involves different things. So service of others is also one of the ways that you basically help out and fulfill your dream and your journey. But there's also the other side where you give up too much of yourself, that you start forgetting who you are, and you start doing things that make you burn out, and they're detrimental to your health. So in terms of every person has their own personal journey. So that's why I'm saying I don't think it is selfish, as long as it's not done in a hedonistic way and it's purely from your heart. You can be confident to say no if you have to say no. And for the longest time, I was very reserved about saying no. But I've learned through life that sometimes you have to say no because no is required. It's just something that you need to do. And as the better you learn, the faster you learn this concept of saying no, the better it is for you and the better life you will have in the future. Because your life is limited. You only have, as Oliver Berkman's book says, 4,000 weeks. You only have 4,000 weeks to live. So you better make it the best 4,000 weeks, make it count the best way possible. And one of the things of doing that is to say no to certain things when no is required. And I think just being confident and knowing that you have the permission to say no when no is required is life-changing, I think, personally. So yeah, that's lesson number one that I've learned, is be confident to say no when no is required. Second one, which is also connected to saying no, but goes a step further, is setting boundaries. Now, setting boundaries is basically setting those parameters around your life, knowing that this, for example, if you have a time boundary saying that this time is specifically meant for, I don't know, meditation, let's say. So you preserve that time, or it's meant for exercise, you preserve that time, or it's meant for service for others, you preserve that time, or time spent with family, you preserve that time because you've set a boundary. So when you're spending time with your family, if I don't know, a friend invites you to go somewhere, you're like, no, actually this is my time that I've preserved and I've made a boundary, and this is what I'm going to do. So the second lesson that I've taken through in this life is that we should have boundaries. We should be able to make those boundaries within our lives and stick to those. I remember once a person went to Warren Buffett, and I've narrated this before, but it doesn't mind. It's not a bad thing to repeat. So he basically asked him about goals and goal setting, and he said, "Give me some advice on how to set goals." He said, "Okay, make a list of the top 25 things that you really, really want to do in this world, and then rate them. The top 5 are the ones that you will actively focus on, and the bottom 20 are the ones you will actively not do it when you find the time. No. You will actively not do them. You will stop yourself from doing them because those are taking you away from the top 5. And when I talk about boundaries, we all have boundaries in our life. We've all set up certain boundaries in our lives. Or if we haven't, then we should. And we should focus on those things that we have in terms of the top 5 things that we really want to do. Everything else will take a back seat, and we should not let it, steer us away from the top things that we want to focus on. And that's the power of boundaries, where when you set boundaries, you know that this is the boundary you've set, and no one should infringe upon that. And if someone does, then you go back to the first thing, which is the power of saying no when no is required. And I think that's really important. So lesson number 1, learn to say no. Lesson number 2, set your boundaries. Now, lesson number 3, I think is probably the most powerful one for me personally. And I think the first to fall into this broader category. And to me, the third thing that I've learned using this finitude of life or mortality of life is setting my North Star. What do I mean by that? North Star is a thing that you aim towards. It's something that you basically focus towards, because this is your life mission, your life goal, something that you want to achieve in life. That is called your North Star. And there's a book by Simon Sinek called Start With Why. He's got another book as a sequel to this called Find Your Why. But I think Start With Why is probably the more important one, because it gives you the toolkit to be able to understand what your purpose really is. Why are you doing what you're doing? A lot of us just focus on how and what, especially the what. But the why is probably more important, because if you just focus on the what, but if it's the what is taking you away from your why, then you need to question yourself and ask yourself, do I really want to be doing this when I could be doing other things that could be taking me closer to my North Star? And that's why I think it's important to take some time out and figure out, what is my North Star? What do I really, really want to achieve in this world? What do I really want to get out of this world? Because once I realize what my North Star is, then and only then will I be able to focus on the things that I need to focus on. And for me, that has been a powerful shift in my mindset in the way I look at life, because now that I know if I figure out what the North Star is or what I'm aiming towards, then everything else falls in place. So even the boundaries are set around the North Star. You saying no is set around the North Star. For example, you know that your North Star is one of the things that you need to do to reach your North Star is to create the discipline within yourself, and that requires you waking up earlier to do some sort of exercise, going for a run, going to the gym, whatever it may be. And if your friends ask you out on a Friday night and tell you, let's go out until midnight or until 1 a.m. or whatever, and you know that's going to impact your sleep, which means you won't be able to wake up in the morning, which means you won't be able to do the thing of discipline, which is important to you, then that's when you say no, because you realize that this is taking me away from my North Star. This is taking me away from my core purpose in life. And if that's what's happening, then I should make sure that I don't do things that take me away from it. But you can only know that if you know what your North Star is and what you're aiming towards. This whole concept of remembrance of death is something that the Stoics called the concept of memento mori, the fact that life is so finite, it's so mortal. 1 minute we're here and the next minute we're gone. Like one of my best friends, he was there on the Friday and then on the Sunday he just wasn't there, and I'm never going to see him again. And the fact that this is going to happen to each and every one of us, because this is a fact of life, means that I should realize for myself that I need to focus on working on myself, because no one else will do that work for me. No one else will do the hard work for me. I have to do it for myself. So that's it for me this week. I hope this resonated with you. I hope this gives you a way into finding your North Star, finding your why, and then using that to set your boundaries, to know what you need to do, what you don't need to do, and then going even more granular and being able to say no to things that take you away from your North Star, from your why, from your purpose, and being confident, because once you're confident in what your North Star is, you can then be confident in saying no to everything else, which I think is very, very useful and important in this finite life that we have. I hope you enjoyed that video, and until next time, see you soon.